episode 1. And first off, I just wanted to wish everybody who's watching now a happy Thanksgiving, as it is Thursday in November, a special Thursday, you could say. And I have with me my co-host Anavultus and our special guest Doc Midnight, or Round Midnight _ on Twitch for now, because I believe
For
you are
now.
wanting to change your name.
Yeah, I check
Yeah.
every day I wake up. I check. So let's do the reveal today to see if they're letting me do my thing. Nope.
Yeah, because you said it had to be a month, or what was it?
Yeah, but I don't know how they
That is
calculate the month.
I don't see why they wouldn't allow that.
Yeah, and then I sent in a support message, and obviously they didn't get back to me. So
Okay.
Yeah. So, I guess we could just start with an introduction of yourself, Doc Midnight, just so Anavultus is aware of like who you are in the audience. Because I mainly wanted to have you as a guest because what you do on your stream I really liked, and I just wanted to share kind of your information about what you go through, about what you think about the vaccines and COVID in general with my audience as well.
oh, of course. Yeah, and you're an integral member of our community, and I appreciate you enjoying being a part of our community as well. So I'm Doc Midnight. I have worked on COVID for the past 8 months, having been called to the front lines to work on COVID in March when I was about to start my residency. I'm on Twitch. Initially, I was on Twitch just to like do talk show stuff with people and like spread knowledge about COVID and misinformation and stuff. But I think it's safe to say like now I'm much more established on Twitch to like not only talk about news and politics, but also just talk about science and medicine and clarify anything, not just COVID, in the realm of science and medicine for people. Because I think for a lot of people, especially from the medical side, it can be a very scary thing and like a very unknown sort of part of people's lives that we all eventually have to address in terms of medicine. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, for sure, and I do appreciate what you do for your community. Because before that, it's just very hard to find information that you can rely on. Because most of the time, especially on YouTube, you don't necessarily know like where these people are coming from, and even mass media sources a lot of times you're a little skeptical of now anyway. So it's hard to really tell like what you should believe and what you should not believe, I guess, would be the alternative.
Yeah, and like I think I'd like to say even like the smartest, most well-read people on Twitch, because like you said, even on YouTube, there's such a wealth of like misinformation coming from, so to speak, established people. It's difficult, yeah, and I'm really happy for the work I've been able to do to help people out, not only privately with their medical cases or the medical cases of their own families, but also just to address any questions ranging from the most basic, the most simple questions to the most complex ones.
Yes, and in light of it being Thanksgiving Day, I would like to say that I'm sure that we're all very thankful for the medical professionals and also those working in the pharmaceutical industry who are working hard trying to save lives.
Yeah, thank you. And even just, we all need to thank too, even everyone involved, just to make the hospital like a working entity. I think oftentimes the environmental service janitors and patient transporters and stuff are left out of the equation, and the even the administrative assistants. Like, we all rely on each other, and I'm really thankful for everyone I work with.
Good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
It's all part of that system to make it work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the overarching
I guess
system
we could
doesn't
start
work.
with this point too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. One of the things I found interesting that you talked about on your stream before was the protection gear, and you were saying that a lot of hospitals and alternative like healthcare professionals don't really have even now the proper gear. So I just thought was if you could talk about that a little bit as some.
Yeah, so from March to like July, we were basically all using like one set of PPE for those 5 straight months. And that's part of the fault of both the federal government and our hospital administration. There is a lot of like office politics involved in that too, where the extra set of PPE were like reserved for people in like good standing with the higher ups per se. And even now, like even though we have a lot of masks now we can use, N95s are basically still like a once a month, once every 2 months thing for us.
Yes, and correct me if I'm incorrect. With the M95s, in a procedure, in your proceedings when you're interacting with a lot of sick patients, you would have to maybe change them multiple times a day.
In the most ideal world, yes. In like the most absolute, like heaven on earth ideal world, yeah.
Yeah, and of course you're not getting them as fast as you would ideally have them.
Yeah, I mean, some hospitals have been able to sort of like skirt around things by having like basically full on hazmat suits instead. But I think because it sort of like affects negatively patient mental health to like treat patients in full hazmat suits. The most ideal thing would just be able to have N95s and proper gowns and things like that.
Certainly.
Yeah. I'm noticing a bit of audio lag. Is it just because? Oh, go on.
No, keep going.
Hello. Oh no, I'm saying I noticed a bit of lag between like what I'm saying and your guys' responses. Is it like an issue on my end or?
It might just be regular online latency.
Could be. Got it. Okay. Yep, no worries.
Yeah. And you might have already said this, but I just want to like confirm in my own mind about the process. But how long did it take for maybe the majority of hospitals to receive the gear they needed?
I mean, I guess I would say we still haven't exactly received all the gear we needed. But from March to now, in terms of at least being able to switch out surgical masks regularly, we didn't start getting a better supply of that until September. Like now I can comfortably at work.
Yeah, that just seems very interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I am at probably one of the most well-funded hospitals in the nation.
Yeah, not every hospital is the same. That's also something I realized in large part because of COVID. Because you just kind of have your conception that, every hospital kind of runs the same. At least in my mind, I kind of thought that. But that definitely changed my mind when it came to all the recent news with COVID.
Yeah, and just because you like work at like a well-established or well-equipped hospital doesn't mean you'll actually get the equipment. I think that's like the weirdest phenomena I've been experiencing. Because like when COVID happened, I felt very secure. I was like, okay, well, I work in a great, well-funded hospital. There shouldn't be a problem. And yet still became a huge, massive issue.
Well, I suppose that all the hospitals, presumably even the ones that are less equipped, would be in competition for the special equipment.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not just like competition amongst hospitals, but it's like competition within the whole entire hospital system. Like things were occurring, such as like people sequestering or whole departments sequestering thousands of N95s for themselves. And that being like overlooked purposefully by the administration, and then things like that. It's like a
Yeah,
lot of
that leads
supply.
into a
Oh,
good,
go on. Sorry.
point as well. No, I was gonna say you could continue with that thought because I was gonna go to something a little different.
Okay. No, I was just saying, like, even supplies from like other nonprofits and stuff that were sent to help us. A lot of them were being sequestered by the administration and never really got to the individual workers.
Yes, I have heard
Right,
this
yeah.
from others working in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that does seem to be an issue I've heard from multiple people, and not just yourself for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of brings me to a slightly different subtopic, but I still kind of view it as the same issue. But in an ideal world, because we do have hindsight now with what has happened, what if you had to change the procedure like federally when COVID first came out? What would you have done? And you think it may have not even worked because obviously we're still living in the times now. But because you seem harsh of you seem harsh of Trump's management with the virus.
Or lack of management. Yeah.
Or lack of management. Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
So, like, what would you have done? Is I guess the question.
Yeah, there was basically no management at all. I mean, from the get-go, I think it was pretty imperative for the virus to be treated seriously, for the president to listen to entities that are experts in this, like the CDC, WHO. We should have never left the WHO. If we stayed, we would have actually been able to get a lot of things like resources and, most importantly, data that is like well-established data from worldwide trends that we don't really have to work off of. And then, there was basically an instance where our hospital and our federal government were informed by doctors and scientists and government in China in December even of this occurring. And even in December, we should have been getting ready. Federally in December, we should have been getting ready. By the time it was like January, February, we should have instituted like full-on lockdowns. At the same time, gave people $2,000 a month stimulus, gave people job security, froze evictions, things like that, and give stimulus to businesses to keep them afloat. Have mask mandates. Like science and the government needed to work together, and it did not. Science actually and medicine and knowledge was basically being suppressed by our government. If you remember, the COVID press conferences were basically stopped by May or June, which for like the people of America that are scared, press conferences from our federal government with disease experts sounds like an amazing thing for morale, right? And not only just morale, to inform the general public about what things are happening and like to get rid of misinformation, right? Whereas in fact, our federal government spread misinformation, is one of the biggest proponents of spreading misinformation for the whole entire duration of the pandemic.
Do you think that perhaps a decentralized system where the states had a greater authority might have allowed for more actions to be taken without having to wait for the central government?
No, because we needed an overarching federal government mandate that every state had to follow, that made made the approach to the virus standardized, because that's exactly our problem right now. Is every state is doing their own thing. We needed federal regulation from the get-go for this.
Okay.
This kind of thing.
Because
Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
I was just gonna say you go on a show regularly with a streamer on Saturday, and then you kind of say similar things through that point that you were just saying there. Dirtbag, yes, who's a Twitch streamer, and he's definitely, not that this really needs to be stated, but he's definitely far left, and you view yourself as left, right? Or
I view myself
not that
as
this really matters, but
yeah, I mean, I view myself as non-political. I view myself as like the pioneer of science as my religion, science as my politics, science as my everything. I took a survey that labeled me left libertarian, but that's all I can say about my own politics, you know?
Right, yeah. Yeah, because definitely from what I've listened to you before, it's like you don't really seem like politically charged. So I just wanted to tell people who tell that in the stream as well.
Yeah, because the way I see it, it's not a political issue, even though it was made a political issue, you know. And I'm on Twitch to talk to everyone, like everyone of any political denomination. So I don't want to like be politically charged when I'm addressing things like factual based questions or factual based evidence or factual based events, right? So that's sort of my approach to politics, I would say.
Because with particular of the virus of COVID, I've said many times on my stream and just talking to friends and stuff that we all kind of see the virus as political now. Like if you're like hardcore conservative, you think the media is using the virus to, stir up people's, political ability and to vote for Trump and whatnot. But then if you're left, you think that, you think of another type of idea. But the whole point is we all have seen that media and whatnot has turned everything political with the virus. So it's just kind of hard, like we were saying earlier, to find information that's not like politically charged.
Yeah, because as soon as you make something like an entire pandemic politically charged, you're going to have phenomena like I've seen every day, right? Of even medical professionals and doctors, like going against science just because of their political alignments, right? Like I see doctors being anti-mask where I work, and some of them even stretching the limit of being anti-COVID, right? Not because they actually believe it, but because it coincides now with their own political ideologies. That's why you can't make a pandemic political.
Right. And you definitely see it as political now.
Yeah, it was forced to be political, so, now there's nothing we can do. It's a political issue now.
Yeah. Although I would say that it probably was inevitable for it to be politicized, because ultimately a lot of actions and responsibility is being placed upon the government.
Yeah, but I think there was a much better chance under past administrations for it to not be politicized even still. Because even though addressing a pandemic is a responsibility of the government, I think in the most ideal situation, if things were sort of marketed as, hey, these are government mandates, but they're mandated under the advice of medicine and science, right? It wouldn't have been, and if the federal government sort of like talked up science and medicine and like put utmost trust in science and medicine, like some past administrations would. I'm not going to name them, but I think it would, from the get-go, it would have been under another administration very easy not to make it political, irregardless of the fact.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's just my own personal opinion too, though.
Yeah. I guess the only counter argument I have to that claim is, do you think the media is what made it political, or do you think it's Trump that made it political? And I could see that that's a loop in itself, because Trump does cause the media, and the media does cause Trump. So you may
Well,
not have really an answer, but
I think Trump's administration pretty much used media as a primary tool for their governing strategies and their agenda. I'm pretty sure anyone on both sides would agree with that. And because that was used as one of the primary tools, even before COVID, it was inevitable under this administration for it to be politicized. Right? Like the Trump administration never really had a knack for communicating with the public through the administration itself, right? It was always through media, Twitter, Fox News, talk shows, things like that, right? Most notably Twitter, even.
Yeah, certainly. I've been seeing that.
Mhm.
hmm
So the
yeah,
main
none of us
topic.
here are really Trump fans in the first place. But
Mhm.
no, go on, Anavultus.
I said the main
I was
topic
just going to
for
state
today.
that you're not really a Trump fan either, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, the main topic for today is the vaccines.
Mhm.
So, are you familiar with the current primary candidate for vaccine that is coming out?
Yeah, so a good thing about me coming on Twitch is also for the past. Okay, so my background, I have 8 years of experience with clinical research as well. I have 4 years of experience in the specialty of epidemiology, and since March, I volunteered to be a part of the coronavirus research task force where I am too. Um, so I'm glad that without having to do my own research, I am very well versed in this. I'm thankful for the opportunities I've been able to have to do so. Um, but yeah, so we have 3 primary candidates right now.
Okay, and which one do you think is going to come out the soonest?
So none. I'll put it this way: none of them should come out in December. As far as the soonest, it, I think it doesn't. I don't think the question is which one comes out the soonest. I think the question is which one is most able to be widely disseminated. Because it doesn't matter if a vaccine comes out soon if it can't even be widely disseminated anyway, right?
Yes, and I would
And
include that in the criteria, that as in which one do you think is likely to be distributed?
the AstraZeneca Oxford one, because it does not have special requirements of having to be stored in minus 70 degrees. It's much easily made, and it's able to be made much quicker as well. It can be stored basically in any conditions, and it's a lot cheaper to make too, and it can be widespread much more.
Okay. So that's in contrast with the BioNTech
Yes, that's in
vaccine.
contrast with the Pfizer and Moderna ones. So the Pfizer Moderna ones both have a stringent requirement of being stored in minus 70 degrees freezers, and after being prepared have to be used within 1 to 2 hours or they become unviable.
Yes, because
And for
the messenger RNA would degrade at higher temperatures.
yeah, I mean, for something that has to be stored at negative 70 degrees, keep in mind, right? Even something refrigerated or in a freezer is still a higher temperature. And yeah, it denatures the structure of the mRNA. The reason why the AstraZeneca one can survive in any temperature is because the mRNA is stored inside of a virus. It's stored inside of sort of deactivated adenovirus, which is a different type of virus than the coronavirus.
I see. Yeah, because I know someone that works at BioNTech, and I've been reading the press releases in the German language press releases.
Mhm.
So I have some familiarity with that one in particular, although I don't know that much about the other ones.
Yeah. So basically, Pfizer and Moderna, right? BioNTech is Pfizer.
Actually, it's a
They're
different company, but
well, no. What I mean is like they're working jointly with Pfizer.
yeah.
Yeah. So.
And Fosun Pharma as well for
Mhm.
Chinese distribution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when I say that, I just mean like for intents and purposes of this discussion, right? BioNTech is like conducive with Pfizer just because they're jointly working together. But the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, they're both mRNA vaccines. They all have the same storage requirements. They're all made the same way, for the most part, without going into the deep science. The Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is, like I said, an mRNA. That's not an mRNA vaccine, but it's an mRNA stored inside of a adenovirus that can't replicate. Those are like the main differences between the three top vaccines, in addition to the press released results being different as well. But all of the vaccines require multiple doses.
Certainly, because they're non-replicating, it means that the body's exposure is limited by however much gets into the body, and so in order to build up a larger immunity, multiple doses would certainly help increase the body's exposure, therefore allowing for a greater potential for antibodies.
You mean when I refer to the adenovirus for the Oxford vaccine being non-replicating?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Is that what you mean? Or is that what you're referring to?
Well, I'm referring to the idea that because it's non-replicating, increasing the body's exposure increases the chances of immune responses.
Uh, yeah, for the most part, yeah. It's a little tiny
I
bit
see
more
you on
nuanced,
Twitch
but for
there,
the
Tay.
most part, yeah. Oh, what's up?
Mm-hmm. No, I was just saying hi to someone on Twitch. I saw he was
Oh.
there. He doesn't have a question, but he was just saying hi. So, hello.
Oh,
But
I should be on
one
your
of the things
channel.
that I've been reading about. No, you're fine. Yeah, one of the things I've been reading about with vaccines and news and whatnot is there seems to be more distrust with this vaccine than, like, let's say, one that's already been proven, such as like the flu or any other vaccine kind of similar. But I was just, and my perspective of it is just because of what we were mentioning earlier with the whole COVID pandemic itself, with it being more politically charged. And I think that's probably the biggest reason. But is there anything like scientifically to be worried about the vaccine?
Yeah, it's more so scientifically, medically. I mean, of course, like I'm extremely optimistic and feel really great about all of them. However, the data we have gotten for all three studies, more so the Pfizer and Moderna, than less so the Oxford, have been just research papers, press releases in the form of research papers. This kind of data absolutely needs to be peer reviewed. From a medical standpoint too, we still have no idea, despite multiple requests. And Anavultus, you can help me with that since you know someone who works in BioNTech. There was a particular case of someone in the Pfizer trial who got the vaccine and then got severe COVID. even though that is one person, from the clinician standpoint, we absolutely need to know the whole entire medical case of this one person so that we can then prepare when we're giving this vaccine what kind of patients we may not be able to give it to, what kind of patients we might have to try a different kind of vaccine, right? Because that one person is multiplied in the whole entire patient population by a couple thousand people, right? If you relate it proportionally,
Yeah,
right?
certainly. And that's why usually they have longer trials so that they can figure out exactly what went wrong, whether it was related to the vaccine or perhaps to other circumstances.
Like I said, I'm all for speeding this up. It's a pandemic, right? But from our side of things, like doctors and scientists in the scientific community, we sort of need a little more assurance to speed things up. We don't really know why things like our requests for the full data set for things like that are not being answered. Um, so until then, we can only feel optimistic.
Yeah. And of course, in the process, sometimes there's slowdowns. For example, if I remember correctly, AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson had a slowdown because someone got severe adverse effects, although they still have to determine whether that was linked to the vaccine or to other circumstances.
Basically, in clinical research, any adverse effect, even if it's not even a extremely severe one, slows down the trial
Yeah.
for a good reason, like you were saying, Anavultus.
Yeah.
Patient safety is still the most important thing.
Of course, in the cases of all vaccines, since the purpose of a vaccine is to cause a type of immune reaction, there's usually potential for a little bit of mild illness always. And that's, of course, seen in the trials as well. But it's
But
always important to emphasize that this is, of course, not always the case. So frequently, it'll be either very mild or non-existent. Sometimes, in some persons, it can be severe. It all depends.
Yeah, I mean, that's why these clinical trials are done over a little longer period of time to sort of have a comprehensive, right, understanding of all the possible side effects, even the mid to long term side effects, even interactions with other medications or other comorbidities, right?
Yeah. So let's say hypothetically, if a vaccine is approved to come out in December or in January, uh, would you take it or would you be happy to distribute it this early?
No, I would take it because it's mandatory for me to, and it's already been said it's mandatory for me to. Would I be happy to distribute it across the world? Probably not. Uh, Unless they give us the full data set right before they release it, which, like I said, right now, in the scientific community, we're being sort of kept in the dark for all of the vaccines in terms of the full data set. Um, we're not really able to peer review anything right now.
Yeah.
Once again, we don't know why.
And of course,
Yeah.
a lot of these companies are publicly traded companies, so a lot of money
Exactly.
is riding on it.
And that's what we've determined why that they're like sort of ignoring our requests right now. But okay, let's say like the most ideal situation, right? They release a full data set for all their trials, right? And then we peer review it and it looks really great. And then we disseminate it in December. Then I'd feel good about disseminating it in December. But this is a delicate situation to where if you release a vaccine that has unknown side effects, that also has an unknown level of maintenance of immunity, you're basically creating an ideal environment for the virus to mutate in a way that we would have to start from ground up again. That's why this is such a delicate situation that unfortunately capitalism in a way is interfering with this delicate situation.
Yes, there certainly are a lot of
What would be the
concerns.
worst case scenario?
The worst case scenario, especially with the mRNA vaccines that have only been tested in the veterinary field before these trials, um, is there's comorbidities we don't know about, which is probably accepting the deaths of like a couple tens of thousands of people, which in the grand scheme of the whole entire population of the U.S. is not that much. But of course, like I said, and from a doctor standpoint, every patient life matters, right? Even one of them, right? Um, so involved in the worst case scenario, you would have that aspect, and then additionally, um, oh, should I wait for him to come back?
Probably. I don't know why he left.
He didn't say anything. He just left. So are you from Germany? May I ask?
Yes, I happen to be from Germany. Yes.
Oh, nice. My father is from Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been there. It's a interesting place.
I go back a lot uh, to see other parts of my
Okay.
family. But yeah. Uh, so that's one aspect of the worst case scenario. The other aspect of the worst case scenario is immunity is not long lasting enough to prevent people from reinfection, as well as not long lasting enough to be conducive for herd immunity to occur, as well as not long lasting enough to prevent giving an ideal scenario for the virus to mutate. And if it mutates in a way we don't really understand, we actually do in fact have to start creating a vaccine from ground zero again.
Yes, because we already know that there's already different types, not only of the SARS coronavirus 2, but also the original SARS coronavirus, and then there's MERS coronavirus as well.
Mhm.
So
Yes, yeah. So coronavirus refers to like a whole entire family of viruses, and as you were saying, Anavultus, in human history, we've had encounters with a lot of different types of coronavirus before. Um, it is really positive that we were able to genetically sequence the whole entire COVID-19 genome. However, it doesn't mean that it's easier to generate a vaccine
yeah,
from a major mutation that could
because
increase.
ideally would have a vaccine that covers uh, the virus and likely mutations for at least a few years, but it could
Mhm.
be that we might have one that only covers one particular mutation of a virus for a couple months.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
that's a big issue. um, Especially in terms of natural immunity, we already have people who survived coronavirus getting it again
Okay.
and dying from it again.
Well, not again, but in the
Well,
second
sorry.
patching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
In the
Well, this would be a lot easier to deal with if we had two lives. Let's put it that way, right?
yeah.
Yeah, your chances would get a lot better, that's for sure.
Yeah. So what's your standpoint on compulsory vaccination?
Um, in what context? In the workplace or like nationwide?
Let's say a government mandate.
I mean, then this becomes a political issue, right? Because then it's sort of a morally ambiguous thing. It's less so morally ambiguous if we have a vaccine that we can ensure works to the most ideal extent, right? Um, it's a little more morally ambiguous when we don't, which we currently don't. Um, and then like for people like clinicians that have an immense understanding, like people I work with, then it becomes a moral issue for us because we are required by our workplaces to be getting it whenever it comes out.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's a difficult it's a difficult political issue, right?
Okay. So,
What would you say about that breakdown of WB?
Always been people who are like anti-vaxxers with like the flu vaccine, which is probably the most famous one.
Yeah.
But there just seems to be a lot more of it going around now, and it may be because they're in the process of actually making it. It's not like it's already been there, so there could be some of that. But it just seems like there's a lot of that going around.
Yeah, I mean, the scientist in me, right, is all for like, yeah, let's strap everyone to a chair and just force everyone to get vaccinated because scientifically, once we have a, completely scientifically validated vaccine, right, that's exactly what needs to happen, right? That's the doctor and scientist in me. The sort of philosopher in me then realizes it becomes a bit of a gray area, right? Strapping people to chairs and like forcing vaccines into them, right? Especially in the context of the basis of our country.
yeah, because certainly I would say that if it were the case that it were a government mandate, then I would also expect the government to have to take full liability for any potential complications made by mistakes in the process.
Yeah, but in what form would this liability come in?
I think that is an interesting question, but I would say that of course, if someone dies, that would make it really complicated. But let's say someone just gets ill, then they might have to compensate for their medical care. But of course, that's a hypothetical. So I'm not saying that that's how it should be. I'm just saying that that's
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, I think the difficult issue too, philosophically, right, is like what price point do you put on unintentionally shortening a human life, right? Or even ending it, right? Or like, is the financial compensation enough, even though emotionally it probably is not enough emotionally, and for the families of the people affected, right? And then that's when things go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into a rabbit hole of the intersection of philosophy and politics, right?
Yeah, then the question becomes who is responsible for health?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a general responsibility, or is there a more specific responsibility? And that gets into questions of medical ethics.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah. So that's saying it's a really complicated scenario, and I can only really speak for the scientist in me, right? The scientific medical aspect of what needs to be done scientifically.
If I remember correctly.
Hello everyone, just wanted to make a quick announcement. We started to have some technical difficulties on my end, so this next about 20 or so minutes is maybe a little bit extra, but I wanted to keep it just because we did cover some other topics. But just in case, we'll make sure to fix it for our next episode, as this is our first episode, so thank you for bearing with me.
So that's saying it's a really complicated scenario, and I can only really speak for the scientist in me, right? The scientific medical aspect of what needs to be done scientifically.
If I remember correctly, the FDA wants a vaccine that has an effectiveness going over 50%.
Yeah, so technically for herd immunity, right, an effectiveness of 50%, even though it's a very broad term, is technically enough for herd immunity. However, the problem is how you define effectiveness, right?
Yeah.
and defining it in a way where one of the utmost requirements is long-lasting immunity. We don't even have enough data yet to determine a 50% effectiveness.
Yeah,
If that makes
because
sense. Yeah.
even with the flu vaccine, according to CDC data, the adjusted overall vaccine effectiveness, based on multiple studies over the years, can vary significantly. So
hmm
it's hard to really tell exactly where we'll end up.
Yeah. But I think what worries me is until we peer review or are able to peer review the data, we can't even right now, in terms of doctors, predict or like have a sense of direction to where things will end up, you know?
Yeah. So I would say another issue relating to the coronavirus that has arisen is mask deniers.
Yeah. Which there are people who recognize and accept COVID and deny masks, by the way.
Yeah, that's why I specifically said mask
Yeah.
deniers, not
Yeah.
coronavirus deniers,
hmm
because the basic argument that these people make is that masks are completely ineffective at stopping the particles. However, I would say that based on the fact that people do use masks in isolation wards, and that there's a long established clinical use of masks, and also by the simple fact that you can test it yourself. If you breathe heavily frequently into a mask, you should have a residue that you can tell that particles are being absorbed by the mask. That
Also, oh,
yeah,
go on. Sorry,
yeah, that
I didn't
masks
mean to
are
cut you off.
effective, at least in some sense. Now, of course, it depends on the different types of masks, but yeah,
But thankfully, with YouTube now, that kind of reasoning gets easily debunked. There's like thousands of videos on YouTube now of scientists with microscopic cameras who are taking pictures of people, taking videos of people speaking with a mask and without a mask. And I think just like bringing up a video like that is already just really concrete evidence that masks do work to stop particles.
yeah.
I'll find one of the videos
It's all
right
right.
now.
I've seen
Yeah.
one,
hmm
and I'm sure people can easily look them up. I
Yep.
just
And
wanted to bring that issue up
oh,
because
for
I know
sure.
that there are people out there that do say that.
If you want to even play the video a little bit, sorry, I'm not forcing you to play it. I just really love these kinds of videos. But I put it in the group chat.
Okay. Wyatt, are you doing well? He's been a bit quiet for a while now. He's the one that's controlling the stream. So,
Oh, Breakdown. His name's Wyatt.
Birkenhoff.
Breakdown with WB. Is that Wyatt? Is that you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's not me. It's him.
Oh, it's him. Yeah, Wyatt. Is everything okay? Can you hear us?
Yeah, my headphones went out for some reason. I had the cord to them too, but
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
yeah, I was trying to figure out my headphones real quick.
I was going to ask, would you be interested in showing the
Yes.
particles on stream? The test with the masks and the particles?
There he goes. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, did I break your computer with the video?
It's playing, but it doesn't want to minimize.
Okay. Well, you can put it in the description afterwards if you are having problems with it.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up now.
But anyway, I'd like to mention another event
Trying to pull it up.
that I
Nice,
encountered.
come on, you can play.
There was a guy that was taking a report by the
Minimize.
CDC
Mhm.
in regards to a certain
No,
type
it should
of,
be working. Maybe that's part of the problem too.
in regards
Is
to
it like the headphones just went out all of a sudden? So I think OBS tried to change something.
can you hear me? I don't think you
Sorry,
can hear us.
Altus, I don't think he
Yeah,
realizes
for
he's
some reason it's
talking
not
over
wanting
you.
to minimize Discord to go to the.
Yeah, sorry, I don't think he realizes he's talking over us. I don't think he can hear us.
Yeah, I'll send him a message.
Yeah, let's figure that out first. Otherwise, we'll be talking and he'll be unintentionally talking over.
Okay. Hopefully he received the message on that. Anyway, I was saying that there was a CDC report in regards to a testing procedure for coronavirus, where in the report someone was taking a phrase in the report that said that they did not have access to samples, quantified samples of a virus, and they used that to imply. This person that was reading the report used that to imply that the virus isn't real, that it's made up. But of course, I don't think this person was entirely familiar with what a quantified virus sample is, which is in fact simply a sample where you know the density of a virus, that is the amount per volume.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people. I mean, the good thing is, in this sort of silver lining way, is a lot of people that are anti-COVID or like touting it as not real are sort of misinformed almost to the point of stupidity enough to where the reasonings that they bring out are so easily just like thrown out the other direction.
Yeah. But of course, some of them, they entrench themselves, and when you try to explain to them, even in a polite sense, that they may have misinterpreted the data, they accuse you of being a misinformation agent or something.
Yeah, because I think a big problem is too a lot of people misinterpreting the data know exactly what they're doing as well. You know, there are smart people on that side of things that do exist, and unfortunately, they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. And of course, there are some other people that get trapped in an echo chamber or a bubble with a confirmation bias.
Mm-hmm.
I should be going now.
Can you hear us?
Hello, hello. Oh God.
I don't
Hello,
think
hello.
you can.
No.
Well, it's all right. I'm also recording it, so
Yeah, I can hear
if the
y'all.
stream is ruined.
I'm not sure if I'm still delayed or not.
Okay.
Hello,
Hey,
hello, hello.
having a drink?
So confused.
He's muted himself, so. Well, this is the first episode, so unfortunately, we couldn't get everything right on the first episode, but
Well, it's a progression, you
Yeah.
know.
That's why it's called getting the answers. We don't always have the answers, but we hope that we will be getting them.
Every episode, we'll get less and less and less things wrong.
Yeah.
Technologically, at least. I think it's a matter of his internet, though, right? As
Could
well.
be. Could be. But to me, it seems like he's had issues with his audio devices, perhaps not connecting properly.
Yeah. I think what I feel bad about is I don't think he realizes there's an issue. Because he seems to be just staring straight into space. I don't know if he realizes there's an issue.
I think he's
Um,
been trying to solve an issue. He's probably doing checks right now to see if his audio is working correctly, to see if everything's connected. That's what it seems like to me, anyway.
mhm.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us? I don't think you can.
Well, he's smiling at us like he can. I don't know.
Yeah, I can hear y'all. I'm trying to fix the delay right now between what I'm listening to from it now and its live version.
I think it's just a matter of your
There
internet,
appears to
possibly.
be like a 5-second delay.
Interesting.
Do you think there'll be less of a delay if we go to the Discord server?
I don't think it would make a difference if it's his internet,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because
true.
we're not having a delay between us.
Yeah, true. We're not.
Let's just test this real quick again.
We need to start a GoFundMe Anavultus to buy Wyatt better internet.
Yeah, get him 6G.
Oh my god.
Okay. Okay, he's muted himself again, so I don't think he thinks that the issue is resolved.
Mm-hmm.
But since he's the one that's streaming, I have to.
Yeah, we sort of have to wait for him.
Yeah. Of course, our dear viewers, next week I will be the one that's streaming, and I don't think I have as many technical issues, and I do have experience doing this. So, our dear viewers, be sure to tune in next week, and you'll probably have a more stable experience. But we'll be on a different topic then, so. Since the stream is stalled, I'll message him. I'll ask him if we should do an outro. Okay. So thank you for coming on. It sure has been an interesting and informative experience, I'm sure, for both of us
Oh no.
as well as for our viewers.
Mhm.
Do you have anything in particular you'd like to plug?
Uh, not necessarily. I mean, uh, my name's Doc Midnight. I stream under round midnight underscore. Um, so twitch.tv/round midnight underscore. And I have a great community where we talk about COVID and medicine and science all day.
Okay.
Um, and I hope for next time we fix Wyatt's whole situation.
Yeah. So I'd like to thank you for coming on behalf of both of us. And
Yeah, thank you for having me.
yeah, do you have any final bit of advice?
Yeah, it's about to be the holidays in both of our countries, right? And I think people need to be more aware that it's still important to be low key, to stay home
Yeah.
as much as possible, right? And to do the part we need to do to respect the lives and the health of other people around us.
Yeah. Stay safe, stay clean.
Hmm.
Yeah. And if you have any problems, seek the advice of a medical professional.
Hmm.
So anyway, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm
Yeah.
sorry we were having such difficulties.
And I'd like to thank the audience for watching, our beautiful audience. Stay nice. And if you have any comments, please give them in the comments section below. So thank you all for watching. This has been Getting the Answers with Anavultus and Birkenhoff. Thank you all for watching, and we will be seeing you all next time. Anavultus over and out.
Yep, have a good one, everyone.